The first update we have today is on the status of the Melissa Gorga and Teresa Giudice family feud. Okay, so you know there's been all this tension, right? And maybe you heard some talk recently about Teresa kind of hoping they could maybe reconcile? Well, it looks like Melissa Gorga just completely shut that down, like seriously slammed the door. She apparently suggested the whole idea of them moving past their issues is, get this, crazy. Yep, crazy. And it seems pretty final too. Melissa strongly hinted that even if Teresa were to actually apologize, it probably wouldn't make a difference. So it really illuminates that, at least from Melissa's perspective, the door is just completely closed. Doesn't look like there's any moving forward there. Before we get into the next update, I need to check in with you all. If you're enjoying our little tea session, take a millisecond to hit the like button and subscribe to join the best reality TV community on YouTube. And speaking of community, I need your opinion. What was your immediate reaction to the Melissa Gorga rejecting Teresa's hopes for reconciliation news? Drop your unfiltered thoughts in the comments. Done? Let's move on to next update now.
Next, we are going to talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County's Ginella. So Katie, who's 41, has really put it out there that she feels like she's held to a higher standard compared to the other women on the show. You know, she went into season 19 basically trying to smooth things over after all that drama in season 18 with Emily Simpson. Yeah, the stuff involving comments allegedly made to Katie's kids about Heather Dubrow. So she was hoping to apologize and just move on, right? But she felt like she was immediately facing a different set of rules. She argued that the cast is just always moving the goalposts on what's okay and what's not, especially for her. And remember that last reunion? She said she was pretty much eaten alive. Apparently, that whole experience made her realize she had to be way more prepared coming into season 19. She kind of framed it as needing to really learn how to be in this game with these women. It sounds like she really struggled to find her place, especially after her friendship with Jennifer Pedranti just kind of ended. But Katie doesn't think everyone was against her. She actually believes the hostility came from one specific person. She even suggested someone might have set her up for something and maybe got others to believe things that weren't true. Anyway, she confirmed she will be at the reunion and BravoCon, and she kind of threw down a challenge to fans, noticing that a lot of people are saying, if Katie comes back, I won't. She basically said, go read the comments and see who you really want back for season 20. So this was today's update about Ginella and her experience on The Real Housewives of Orange County. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we are going to talk about The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's Angie Katsanavas. Okay, so Angie K recently popped up on Watch What Happens Live, Andy Cohen's show, and she was spilling all the tea about the RHSLC season premiere drama and where everyone stands. First thing she talked about was that whole comparison she made between Lisa Barlow and Jen Shah. Yeah, that Jen Shah. Angie admitted it was a bad analogy, bad joke, definitely seemed to regret saying it. But get this, she also confirmed she and Lisa are still not on good terms. In fact, Angie basically pointed the finger at Lisa, saying she's the one stirring up most of the rumors and, nastiness this season. But then, the focus shifted to the newcomer, Britani Bateman. Angie did not hold back. She straight up called Britani the biggest pot stirrer of the bunch, and apparently the one who cried the most during filming. And Angie really showed she's not feeling warm towards Britani at all. She threw some major shade about Britani's look on that camping trip, calling her hair cheap and ratted. Oh, and she even revealed Britani used a sock to make a little hair bump it thing. Can you imagine? Angie also mentioned that Mary Cosby was like the most annoyed with Britani. And apparently whatever little friendship Britani had cooking with Lisa, Angie says that's already over. But hey, it wasn't all shade. Angie did share some positive stuff too. She gave props to Whitney Rose for being really vulnerable about her and her husband Justin's failed business venture, and said the group really supported her through that. That's nice to hear, right? And finally, she talked about her own friendship with Mary Cosby. Sounds like it's really evolving into something deeper, like a new sisterhood where they're figuring out, boundaries, honesty, and even forgiveness. So this was today's update about RHOSLC's Angie Katsanavas. Let's now move on to an update.
Next, we're going to talk about the highly anticipated Summer House spinoff, In the City. So, you know Summer House, right? That show about young pros escaping NYC for those wild Hamptons weekends? Well, this new series kind of flips the script.
It's all about a group of New Yorkers, including some very familiar faces, navigating, the big life stuff. We're talking marriage, becoming parents, maybe even totally reinventing themselves right there in the city. And the big question hanging over it all is like, can they really have it all in Manhattan? It really illuminates that challenge. Okay, so the headliners, we've got Lindsay Hubbard, Kyle Cook, and Amanda Batola leading the charge. Good old Andrea Denver is back too, this time with his wife, Lexi Sundin. And get this, there are 4 brand new faces joining the mix. Ben Waddell, Kelly Justin, KJ Dillard, Levi Sabri, and Bailey Taylor. Fun fact, you'll actually get a sneak peek of them first on Summer House Season 10, which is pretty cool. Now, about Carl Radke, we still don't actually know if he's going to be involved. But Lindsay was spotted filming for this new show just last month, so things are definitely happening. Yeah, she was seen filming at Kukoyak, that's an eatery down in Manhattan's Flatiron District. Apparently, she was with a whole group of people, but nobody recognizable to the person who saw them. And remember, Lindsay's primarily based in New York City these days, raising her little 9-month-old daughter, Gemma, with her ex-boyfriend, Turner Koof. The whole thing's being put together by Truly Original. They're the folks behind the original Summer House, The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Summer House Martha's Vineyard. So yeah, it's probably going to be good. So this was today's update about the Summer House spinoff in the city. Let's now move on to next update. Okay, next we are going to talk about Marysol Patton's really emotional reaction to some body shaming on The Real Housewives of Miami, and also the details of this unexpected feud she's gotten into with Stephanie Shojai. So, this new season of RHOM, it's definitely bringing the drama, especially involving Adriana de Mora. Things got heated when Adriana apparently confronted Marysol on a yacht. Reports say Adriana yelled at Marysol, telling her to go get plastic surgery on your bony knees because they need it, your wrinkled knees. Yeah, pretty harsh. Later on, Marysol clarified she heard that comment loud and clear. And she explained that comments like that, they affect her a lot because people used to say similar nasty things to her late mother. So that really eliminates why Marysol actually shed tears when she was talking about it all later. Her best friend, Alexia Napola, weighed in too. Alexia said, while she couldn't actually hear the exact words from the other boat, she just found the whole scene ridiculous. Alexia made it clear they do not support body shaming. Just shouldn't be happening today, right? Now, switching gears slightly, Marysol also talked about how this feud with Stephanie Shojai even started. She really didn't see it coming, saying they started off really good, and she genuinely thought they'd end up being tight. The friction began apparently when Marysol decided not to join a trip on Stephanie's private plane. And this refusal came after Stephanie had apparently made a whole list of demands for her passengers. Marysol insisted her intention wasn't to hurt Stephanie's feelings at all. She simply wanted to spend that day with Alexia. She chalks it up to a little miscommunication. Marysol seems to believe Stephanie doesn't actually think she's superior, but that maybe her delivery, her tone, it's just strong. And sometimes that's what makes her comments come across strong, maybe even seem rude. So this was today's update about Marysol Patton and the RHOM drama. Let's now move on to next.
Next, we're going to talk about the recent developments involving Katie Ginella and her husband, Matt Ginella. So Katie actually shared some pretty upsetting news on her Instagram story just the other day, on September 18th. She revealed that Matt ended up hospitalized for 4 whole days. Apparently, he had this really intense pain in his side. Yeah, they went from urgent care straight to the ER, and doctors found he had blood clots, both in his lung and his legs. She described the whole thing as scary, which, totally understandable. But the good news is, Matt's home now and starting his recovery. They sounded really grateful for the care they got over at Hog Health. Now, this health update comes, interestingly enough, after Matt's been in the headlines quite a bit these past few weeks. It's all tied into that very public falling out he's had with Slade Smiley. And the tension there? Well, it really centers on the ongoing drama around Katie's claims, specifically about what Gretchen Rossi apparently told her regarding that whole controversial naked wasted incident with Tamra Judge. You might remember, Matt was on a podcast back in August, and he talked about a phone call he had with Slade. He recalled Slade allegedly telling him that Katie might have just sealed her own fate because she shared details about a private dinner with Jennifer Pedranti and Ryan Bolyazyan. Apparently, this was all because Gretchen denied saying she was drugged or hospitalized during that incident, and they wanted Katie quiet. Matt said Slade basically pushed him, telling him he needed to get Katie to hold the line and say it wasn't said to, stop the story from spreading. So this was today's update about Katie and Matt Ginella's recent health scare and ongoing drama. Let's now move on to the next update. Okay, next we are going to talk about former Real Housewives of Potomac star Candiace Dillard Bassett. She's been sharing some pretty strong opinions lately on a couple of big reality TV topics. Candiace left RHOP back in March, became a mom, joined the Traders, and now she's definitely not holding back. So first up, she weighed in on Taylor Frankie Paul, or TFP, being named the new Bachelorette. This whole thing's been kind of controversial, right? Well, Candiace saw an Instagram post talking about TFP's past, and let's just say Candiace called her gutter. Yikes. This really illuminates the backlash TFP's facing because of that 2023 arrest. The charges of assault, criminal mischief, and domestic violence stuff involving a child. Now, Taylor did say on a podcast recently that those charges were all dropped, but Candiace's reaction really shows how intense the feelings are about this casting. Then, switching gears a bit, Candiace talked about her former co-star, Karen Huger, and her recent early release. Candiace said she was totally elated and even surprised it happened so soon. She mentioned, being more inclined to give her grace, because hey, people make mistakes. She's apparently talked to Karen, confirmed she's just resting and recalibrating right now. Candiace also really felt for Karen's kids, calling Karen the North Star of their family. And get this, she predicts Karen's going to have books and movies and all kinds of deals coming her way, and will handle it all with grace. So this was today's update about Candiace Dillard Bassett's takes on Taylor Frankie Paul and Karen Huger's recent news. Let's now move on to the next update.
Okay, next, we are going to talk about the ongoing tension between reality TV figures Scheana and Lala Kent. Yeah, both women are, publicly detailing this bump in the road in their relationship. So, Scheana's pretty unhappy, right? She's mentioned feeling upset about what she sees as subtle digs coming from Lala. And specifically, she really didn't appreciate Lala kind of suggesting she was Scheanaing, basically calling her out for taking their problems public instead of keeping them private. Scheana also pointed out that Lala apparently claimed she wasn't taking accountability for the actions that sparked the conflict. Now, Scheana had kind of suggested earlier that maybe the friction started because Lala didn't really support her new book, My Good Side, which came out in July in the way she'd hoped. Lala's side of things, well, she clarified in her own interview that she was really under the impression they'd handle this behind closed doors, mostly because they have this, deep-rooted family dynamic. So yeah, she says she doesn't appreciate Scheana taking it all to the streets, but she seems to accept it, calling it just Scheanaing. Lala did admit things felt off when she visited Scheana's house down in Palm Springs a couple of weekends back. And look, while she says she cares deeply for Scheana and her family, she's tried to step back and explain how she feels, but now she's pretty much laid it out there. She explicitly said that if Scheana keeps going down this road, meaning talking about it publicly, their friendship just can't be fixed. She really wants Scheana to